Robert Limon is ambushed, gunned down in the dark of night at the remote railroad facility where he was working the graveyard shift. Robert was there all alone and now lays dying in Tehachapi, California, about 85 miles from his home in Helendale, shot twice. It was a shoot-to-kill attack.
He was struck in the face and it traveled through and exited the neck. The other one was a shot in the chest. It went up into the jaw area and lodged in the brain.
A grief-stricken Sabrina posted a loving tribute to her husband while struggling to stay strong for their 2 young children.
No one wants to see their children in that much pain.
Given Robert's unconventional lifestyle, it's hard to tell just who had it out for him. A jealous husband? A jilted lover?
Don't know where we're going next. We were still looking for leads.
There was no relevant forensic evidence at the crime scene. All Kern County detectives had was this surveillance tape of a shadowy figure roaming the crime scene.
The subject was wearing some heavy clothing and also walked with a limp.
And footage of someone with a similar build on a motorcycle at a nearby gas station and convenience store right around the time of the murder. Crime scene photos show Robert's office looked as if it had been ransacked. Was this a random attack?
They thought maybe it was a robbery or something to that effect, so there's a lot of stories going on.
Sheriffs offered a $100,000 reward. Even that wasn't tempting enough for anyone with good intel to come forward.
And they all pretty much led us to a dead end.
This is the picture taken last night before my brother was murdered.
The unknown is almost as painful as the grief for loved ones.
It left a lot of open questions, and nobody seemed to answer or give us the answers to those questions so that we could heal.
A few weeks later, Detective Robert Meyer gets an interesting call from Jason Bernatine. Remember, Jason and his wife Kelly were best friends with the Limons, friends with benefits.
Jason wanted to provide me with a couple text messages that he received from a subject by the name of Jonathan Hearn.
Yes, the same Jonathan Hearn involved in an affair with Sabrina Limon. But why on earth would the young fireman be texting his married lover's best friends?
He basically was wanting to ask for forgiveness for how shameful he had been.
No, it's not a murder confession. Jonathan was actually texting a rather curious apology for having an affair with Sabrina. But why?
I obviously thought it was very strange that he'd be apologizing for that. But I had some work to do, so I started looking into Jonathan Hearn.
Detective Meyer's next move? A visit not with Jonathan, but with the adulteress herself, Sabrina Limon.
I asked her if there were any issues in the marriage, such as infidelity or a boyfriend, girlfriend, anything like that, and she denied that, and she said it was great. Her and Rob had a great marriage.
Nothing like a bold-faced lie to energize a lagging criminal investigation. But the ever-image-conscious Sabrina may have been deceptive for a reason that doesn't involve killing her husband.
I don't think she wanted to paint Rob in a negative light or herself in a negative light for the children in this terrible time. She didn't want her kids to know about the open relationship and how they were both having affairs.
Detective Meyer keeps digging for clues and hits on some gold.
Sabrina had purchased what is commonly referred to as a burner phone. They started communicating with that.
In fact, in the 5 months leading up to Robert's death, the illicit lovers exchanged 7,000 voice calls and text messages on their throwaway phones.
That was very suspicious.
Adding to the suspicion, Sabrina suddenly goes underground, cutting off Robert's entire family, even refusing to let them see the children, and for no apparent reason. It broke the heart of Robert's sister, Lydia, but it also raised suspicion.
Why are you hiding, Sabrina? You know, if you didn't do anything wrong, why are you not communicating or talking to us?
Sabrina may have sidestepped her family, but she can't beat the badge. Cops are listening to calls between Sabrina and her young lover.
There's a purpose for all of the things that God has shown us.
There is. There sure is, Sabrina.
A judge approved 24-hour surveillance and telephone wiretaps of conversations with Jonathan. The subject matter? Jonathan's paranoia.
There's a truck that definitely keeping eyes on you.
Really?
Yeah. They both look like typical cops trying to pretend not to be cops.
And stunningly, a prayer for salvation, not the kind in the afterlife, but the one in the courtroom.
Please help us, God, please help us be wise.
The couple prayed that God would steer the criminal investigation away from them as suspects.
So, Sabrina, they have the right words.
While the calls don't reveal any direct evidence, one might detect a certain consciousness of guilt in their conversations.
God, this is what I guess you really do want me to be with them.
But cops needed more, and it so happens they've been able to gather the incriminating goods. When they search Jonathan's house, they find a motorcycle helmet and gloves like the one spotted in that surveillance video close to the crime scene the night Robert was killed.
Based on Jonathan Hearn owning a motorcycle that was similar to the motorcycle that was around the scene, around the time of the murder, based on his relationship with Sabrina Limon, also him owning firearms that were similar to the caliber that killed Robert Limon.
And there's more. Sabrina stood to gain a sweet payout from Robert's railroad pension. Cops are convinced Sabrina and Jonathan had the means, motive, and opportunity to get Robert out of the picture. 3 months after the cold-blooded murder of Robert Limon, Kern County homicide detectives are convinced they've got enough evidence to make cases against Jonathan Hearn and Sabrina Limon. Hearn is arrested at his firehouse where he's on duty, and Sabrina Limon is on her way to her children's school where she's scheduled for a parent-teacher conference.
The whole thing's ridiculous. If you know Sabrina at all, I mean, I love her to death. She's amazing. She's got the biggest heart, but she's no mastermind.
She said, why would I, want him dead, or why would I want to have the best of both worlds?
We are confident that the 2 people we arrested yesterday are responsible for his murder.
Or are they? When prosecutors looked at the case, they felt they had the goods on Jonathan, but not limon to convict Sabrina. It was a blow to homicide detectives who were forced to send Sabrina home to the comfort of her children and family.
Sabrina Limon has not been charged. She is a citizen. She's free to do what she wants when she wants.
Coming up,
Jonathan's gonna tell me that you talked him into it.
the lovers turn on each other in a he said.
Divorce was not something very appealing to her as an option.
She said.
I never wanted to believe that Jonathan was the one that did this.
In a knockdown, drag-out courtroom battle.
I believe she told Jonathan to shoot Rob.
And the verdict is in.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Sabrina Limon.
And then a move that would afford the young evangelical some mercy.
I offer him my broken-hearted and genuine apology.